Caitlin Clark just did something that no athlete has done since Michael Jordan.
Picture this. You flick on the TV, planning to let the game play in the background while you scroll your phone, and suddenly the entire arena is chanting one name so loud you can't hear the commentators. It's not LeBron, it's not Steph, it's not even Rookie of the Year chatter from the NBA. It's Caitlin Clark. Yes, fresh out of college, rocking the WNBA like a meteor crashing into calm water, sending shockwaves that rattle every single corner of the league. You can almost feel the hardwood vibrate as the camera cuts to a sea of white and gold basketballs in the stands, fans waving them like rally towels. Those aren't just any balls, they're Wilson's brand new signature line, the first time the company has stamped a player's name on a basketball since Michael Jordan himself. Think about the gravity of that. The same brand that chiseled the Jumpman myth into sports culture has looked at this 20-something sharpshooter from Iowa and said, "You're next."
Calling all Caitlin Clark fans, 2 new limited edition basketballs are now available at select Hy-Vee stores. The designs are part of the Inspire series that Clark is doing in partnership with Wilson Sporting Goods. The tribute ball pays homage to Clark's time within the Iowa women's basketball team, and the Dreamer ball is designed to encourage athletes to pursue their dreams. Both are available in sizes 3 and 6 at select Hy-Vee locations.
And it's not just an empty marketing gimmick, because within 40 minutes of launch, every single collector's edition was gone. Snapped up faster than the latest iPhone drop, quicker than those limited Travis Scott Jordans that had sneakerheads camping outside storefronts at 4 in the morning. 40 minutes. That's not supply and demand, that's a cultural earthquake. Meanwhile, veterans who've been grinding a decade for a shoe deal are refreshing their timelines, wondering if the website glitched. You can practically hear Cheryl Swoops clenching her jaw and Asia Wilson composing a cryptic tweet before the clock hits the first TV timeout. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Caitlin Clark era, the moment women's basketball finally realized what mainstream buzz feels like, and some vets decided it tasted a little too sour. Let's rewind. Remember the lore around Michael Jordan in the 80s? How a single rookie convinced the world to lace up canvas sneakers like they were golden tickets to athletic greatness. That phenomenon generated a sneaker culture worth billions. Now fast forward to 2025, swap sneakers for sleek white and gold spheres, and you've got Caitlin Clark performing the exact same magic trick. Only this time, the sorcery targets a league that has fought tooth and nail just to see highlights on SportsCenter. Wayne Gretzky pulled Canadians into rinks the same way Tiger drew crowds to golf courses. The formula is simple: one transcendent athlete, one gravitational pull. But here's the plot twist. Clark's doing it in a space that's been begging for mass attention since the Cheryl Miller days. She's rewriting the blueprint, showing that if you give a player with generational charisma the right spotlight, the audience will show up. They're not trickling in, they're stampeding through the gates. Now, while your timeline floods with posts of middle schoolers dribbling those signature balls in suburban driveways, Angel Reese is trending for an entirely different reason. Her followers expected a coronation tour after LSU, expected the Bayou Barbie brand to balloon in the pros. Instead, she's watching Caitlin's stock rocket past the stratosphere, and the frustration is bubbling over. You might have seen the sideline clip, a meltdown so raw you can almost taste the salt through the screen. The cameras catch Reese on the bench, towel over her head, frustration radiating like heat off asphalt in July. She isn't mad at Caitlin in particular, she's mad at a system that suddenly feels rigged, a press corps hypnotized by a fresh fairy tale and apparently uninterested in her hustle. But here's the uncomfortable truth no one wants to say out loud. The spotlight isn't allocated by fairness, it's grabbed by force of narrative, and Clark's narrative is currently the gravitational center of women's sports. While we're on numbers, let's crack open the ratings. 1.18 million average viewers for a Fever game. That's 3 times the WNBA norm. Translation? A rookie is tripling league eyeballs on the regular, and we're not even halfway through her freshman campaign. Gen Z thinks she's a social media cheat code. Boomers claim she's Larry Bird with an Instagram filter, and in small town middle America, they're rearranging dinner plans around the Fever tip-off. My neighbor George couldn't name 2 WNBA teams a year ago. Now he's debating starting lineups like he's a beat reporter. That's the kind of electricity Clark carries. She is quite literally a walking economic stimulus package. Meanwhile, brand executives are salivating so hard you could float a paper boat on their conference room tables. Wilson Wilson's head of global brand straight up declared Clark the face of the future. That's not PR fluff, that's a strategic pivot. They just bet the house on her becoming the definitive icon for women's hoops. And early returns suggest Vegas odds were tame. Even grocery chain giant Hy-Vee jumped into the frenzy, slapping Clark-themed balls on end caps between cereal boxes and organic avocados. Imagine doing sneaker-style sellouts at your neighborhood supermarket. Moms grabbing bread for turkey sandwiches are suddenly bidding for limited edition basketballs like eBay fiends chasing vintage vinyl. Clark is bending the retail universe in ways the league has never seen. But brand power isn't the only currency causing tremors. Salaries expose the league's oldest scar. Caitlin pulls $76,500 in WNBA pay. Sounds comfy to the average 9-to-5 worker, but it's peanuts next to her projected $11 million from endorsements alone. Money that dwarfs entire team payrolls. She's the glowing neon sign pointing at the pay gap the league has papered over with sloganeering for years.
So she spoke out against that. She got people paid. She got better travel arrangements. She increased the ratings and the revenue, which obviously the WNBA benefited exponentially because now you got a $200 million deal.
When Michael Jordan says publicly that the WNBA owes Caitlin Clark for everything she's doing, you know tectonic plates are shifting. Jordan doesn't toss compliments like confetti. He's the final boss of brand leverage, the architect of modern athletic marketing, and he just greenlit Clark's revolution with a stamp of GOAT-level approval. That's bigger than a headline. That's a paradigm shift.
You know well enough that in 1984, when Michael Jordan came into the NBA, the ratings in the NBA were not great. Chicago Stadium was, a third full.
Cue the jealousy montage. Veterans, some with Hall of Fame resumes, are side-eyeing each endorsement, each sold-out arena. You'll see them deliver extra spicy hard fouls. You'll catch them refuse post-game handshakes. You'll read their thin-veiled stories about earning your stripes. And maybe, just maybe, you'll scroll past a D. Jane Carrington subtweet shading Clark's popularity. Let's be real, human nature is messy. When someone rockets past the milepost you were told marks success, it's hard not to flinch. But here's the crossroad. Cling to bitterness, or hitch your wagon to the rising tide, because make no mistake, the tide is rising. Within weeks of Clark's arrival, owners greenlit charter flights. Broadcast partners hammered out a $200 million media deal. Suddenly, franchise valuations look less like small market hobbies and more like potential gold mines. Sponsors who once tossed token dollars at community initiatives are now ponying up real money for jersey patches, primetime ad spots, you name it. When a single player can transform the league's entire economic landscape, you either adapt or watch from the bleachers. Let's turn the lens back to the hardwood, because all the endorsement fireworks would crumble if Clark's on-court production fizzled. Instead, she's busy stacking stat lines that echo MJ's own rookie playoff numbers. 18 points, 8.5 dimes, 5 boards, 2 steals, and a block per game. Only 2 rookies across NBA and WNBA history can boast that statistical Frankenstein, Michael Jordan and Caitlin Clark. That's not hype, that's historical record you can print on a plaque. So when you hear talk show pundits holler, "She ain't proven yet," remind them the spreadsheet disagrees. But here's the nuance the hot take factories often miss. Clark isn't just stacking numbers, she's making basketball feel fresh. Every no-look dime, every 35-foot logo 3, every end-of-quarter dagger has an unmistakable swagger that invites even casual observers into the moment. She's the friend who drags you to a party you didn't plan on attending, and suddenly you're having the time of your life. That infectious energy softens the toughest critics. Well, except maybe those still chewing resentment like stale gum after midnight. Which brings us back to Angel Reese. She rode the Bayou Barbie wave through March Madness, parlayed charisma into magazine covers, music video cameos, and a legion of social media followers. But the pro ranks demand a recalibration. When the zeitgeist shifts elsewhere, you can either pivot or pout. Reese's meltdown, caught in HD, broadcast to every highlight reel aggregator, captured a moment of raw vulnerability. She looked around, saw the headlines, felt the market tilt toward her college rival, and the frustration erupted. And you know what? On a human level, it's relatable. Competitors crave the limelight, they chase respect, but how you respond defines career chapters. Will she channel that fire into dominance, or let it smolder into bitterness? That subplot is one of the richest storylines this season. Another subplot? Veteran pushback framed as protecting the game. You'll hear whispers that Clark hasn't paid dues, that her style is showboat-ish, that the league shouldn't revolve around one rookie. Yet the irony is delicious. These same veterans fought for visibility, fought for larger audiences, audiences, begged networks for prime slots. Now that the audience has arrived wearing Clark jerseys, some vets want to gatekeep. That's like building a bridge for years, only to complain when traffic finally flows. And traffic is flowing. Ticket sales are surging. Concession revenue is climbing. Youth participation numbers for girls basketball clinics have spiked. Coaches report waiting lists in towns where WNBA merch previously collected dust on clearance racks. That's tangible legacy, not just viral clips. Little girls are trading Pokemon cards for Caitlin Clark highlight compilations on TikTok. Whole elementary school girls teams are spending lunch breaks mimicking her step back, pretending the cafeteria line is a three-point arc. Momentum, this organic can't be manufactured by marketing departments. It erupts when a player touches something primal in the public's imagination. Let's back up a second to dissect branding mechanics. Wilson's limited edition ball line wasn't an impulse. Internally, the company wrestled with a strategic dilemma: how to modernize their women's catalog without cannibalizing existing product lines. Clark's emergence cracked the stalemate. She gave them a figure who transcends niche fandom. They designed 3 distinct balls: the Threes Up ball celebrating her deep range audacity, the Record Breaker ball etched with career milestones, and the Crowd Maestro ball, a tribute to her ability to transform arenas into Beyoncé concerts. They built them with premium composite leather, laser-etched graphics, and packaging slicker than a flagship smartphone. Then they pressed launch, and inventory vanished quicker than you could click add to cart. The aftershock rippled through supply chains so severely that smaller retailers called Wilson begging for restocks only to be waitlisted into next quarter. That success fed a feedback loop. Hy-Vee, seeing the viral mania, partnered on an Inspire series. The tribute ball honored Clark's Iowa tenure. The Dreamer ball carried motivational mantras. Moms who never stepped foot in a sporting goods aisle found themselves in line behind collectors holding 2 balls each because parenting errands turned into premier events. And when older fans scoffed, who buys a basketball at a grocery store? The receipts told the story. Thousands of units gone across select Midwest locations in a single weekend. Now picture the boardrooms at competing brands: Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, Puma. They're poring over social listening dashboards, noticing spikes every time Clark posts. They're recalculating next year endorsement budgets, shading cells in spreadsheets a bright Clark-colored yellow. And here's where the economic engine revs. Every dollar invested in Clark expands the ecosystem. More ad buys mean more televised games. More televised games mean higher ratings. Higher ratings mean bigger rights deals. Bigger rights deals raise salary caps, and higher caps eventually pay veterans what they've deserved all along. That's the virtuous cycle if, and only if, everyone embraces the wave rather than resisting it. But I'd be remiss not to mention the backlash cloaked as physicality. You've seen it: extra elbows on box outs, opponents leaning shoulders in transition, borderline flagrant fouls masquerading as playoff intensity. On one level, that's basketball. You push the phenom to test her mettle. On another level, some of these hits drip with resentment. We saw a forearm to the ribs when Clark fought over a screen. We saw a not-so-accidental hip check that sent her tumbling into the stanchion. The league office issued warnings, commentators disguised reprimands as praise for toughness, and social media kept receipts. Fans smell insecurity the way dogs sense fear. Instantly, every cheap shot becomes a meme. Every meme reinforces Clark's under siege narrative, and suddenly sympathies lock onto her even harder. If vets truly want the league respected, returning to fundamentals and letting skills speak would be far more effective than junior high antics, as one analyst bluntly put it. Speaking of analysts, Charles Barkley carved a crater in the discourse on national TV, ripping into jealous veterans. Chuck doesn't traffic in diplomatic language. He called the hate stupid, labeled it soap opera nonsense, and argued that hating on the one player whose quadrupling revenue is the definition of self-sabotage.
These ladies, and I'm a WNBA fan, they cannot have this Caitlin Clark thing up any worse if they try.
His words echoed through morning shows, sports radio segments, and barbershop debates. And whether you love or loathe Barkley, he articulated a truth the league must confront. Envy feeds nothing but negativity, while collaboration feeds growth. Let's spotlight the financial delta one more time because it's the skeleton in the locker room. Clark's league salary sits beneath $80,000. Her off-court bag eclipses 8 figures. That disparity is gasoline on the jealousy bonfire. Some vets insist the pay gap illustrates deeper inequities. Others argue she's proof that star power can unlock bigger paydays for everyone. Honestly, both viewpoints hold water. Clark didn't create the wage structure, but her presence magnifies its absurdity. When a rookie's endorsement haul surpasses what entire starting lineups earn combined, the conversation changes from theoretical fairness to visible imbalance you can't unsee.
100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all petty girls. I expect men to be petty because we're the most insecure group in the world.
Oh, you are.
Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all ass private charters, all the money and visibility she bringing to the WNBA.
And yet, if you zoom out, there's a silver lining for veterans willing to adapt. Brands love narratives of perseverance. A savvy vet could collaborate with Clark, appear in ads bridging generations, craft storylines of mentorship. Think Magic Johnson introducing the world to a young MJ on late-night talk shows. Think Serena Williams passing the torch on a Nike commercial. There's nothing preordained about one star hogging the limelight, but that requires humility, acknowledging that the ecosystem thrives when roles evolve. Come to grips with modern influencer culture, harness it, grow. Because the data paint a future brimming with possibility. Youth clinics are oversubscribed. WNBA merchandise revenue in Q1 dwarfed the entire previous year. Television execs scramble to slot fever games across multiple networks, sometimes bumping mid-tier MLB broadcasts. Streaming services chase exclusive docuseries rights, and Nike's rumored to be developing a signature Clark shoe that might drop as early as next Christmas, meaning the female Jordan moment could expand from balls to footwear. Imagine walk-in tunnels filled with girls wearing Clark 1s while dribbling Wilson 3s up limiteds. That aspirational loop is marketing gold. Cue Michael Jordan re-entering the chat. In an interview, he gushed about seeing kids mimic Clark's step back the same way they once copied his fadeaway. He said, point blank, that the WNBA owes her for dragging the league into primetime. Coming from the man who globalized basketball, that's a benediction. He also reminded us that when he entered the NBA, Chicago Stadium seats were empty and TV ratings were mediocre. Sound familiar? If the Jordan arc is any hint, Clark's arc might elevate the WNBA to realms the Pioneers dreamed about but never witnessed in their playing days. The GOAT basically passed the torch across gender lines, validating Clark not as the best in her subset, but as vital to basketball writ large. So the question transforms from why her to how high can she take everyone? Because every trend line is up and to the right. More sponsors, bigger crowds, escalating jersey sales, skyrocketing social engagement. That's momentum. You can't craft that in a lab, you can only ride the wave. Or you can dig your heels in the sand and watch it crash over you. Let's wrap the perspective loop with the simplest metric: impact on kids. 12-year-old Mia from Cedar Rapids asked for a Wilson Clark ball for her birthday. When it sold out, she wrote a handmade sign begging Wilson for restocks. 8-year-old Jordan, yes, named after the GOAT, swapped his youth league number from 23 to 22 because Caitlin shoots from further out than Steph. Coaches I've interviewed say they've never had so many girls ask for extra gym time to practice logo threes. That's the grassroots pipeline swelling before our eyes. 10 years from now, the WNBA could be flooded with prospects who grew up idolizing Clark, just as current NBA stars worshipped MJ and Kobe. That's the difference between a fad and a foundational shift. Angel Reese still has a chance to reclaim narrative space. She's charismatic, marketable, and when locked in, a monster on the boards. If she channels frustration into fury, we could witness the next great rivalry, two icons pushing each other to generational greatness. That's box office. Think Magic versus Bird, but with social media virality cranked to 11. Rivalries drive interest, interest drives money, money drives progress. The league should pray for it, promote it, and package it, not stifle it with petty jabs. Ultimately, the Clark phenomenon forces every stakeholder to confront uncomfortable reflections. Owners must spend to win loyalty. Vets must decide whether to nurture or negate. Brands must ensure authenticity over opportunism. Media must balance coverage so that storytelling remains rich, not one-note hero worship. Because an ecosystem built solely on one superstar can crumble if that star gets injured or burned out. The goal should be rising tides, not tidal waves washing everything else away. Still, for now, now, the tide belongs to Caitlin Clark, and the horizon looks limitless. She's shattering sales records, rewriting stat sheets, flipping jealous sneers into rallying cries, and bending culture with the ease of a crossover dribble. She didn't ask to be the epicenter, she simply is. The league can fight the gravity, or they can drape every arena in gold and white and surf the pull straight into a golden era. So the next time you scroll past a highlight of Clark launching a bomb from the logo, or see Angel Reese jawing angrily after a tough and one, remember you're not witnessing isolated moments. You're witnessing tectonic plates grinding, realigning the future of women's sports in real time. Years from now, documentaries will rewind to this exact chapter and label it the inflection point, the day the Caitlin Clark Avalanche collided with tradition and forced basketball, no qualifiers attached, to evolve. And if you're smart, you'll grab your popcorn, maybe even one of those sold-out Wilson balls if they ever restock, and settle in courtside. The revolution isn't coming, it's already on the second fast break, and trust me, this kid hasn't even shown us her full bag of tricks yet.